Hello my dear viewers, and welcome to one of our lessons today. And today we will be talking about polynomial function names. Today is just to learn some names in math. The functions that we have, usually we have variables with it. If we don't have a variable with it, we call this function is a constant, and which is just a number 4, -4, or just b. B could be any number. And as you see over here, so that's what we call a constant function. The first thing we look for is the variable. For example, x power 3, we look for the highest power or the greatest power of the variable. And the second thing, we look at the coefficient before that number, if it's positive or negative. And I will show you how during this explanation. Okay, let's start. If we have a function like x plus 1, and we call that linear function. Linear function has a power 1, and it could have any coefficient number here, and over here is just positive 1. And if it's positive 1, it looks like this. And if it's negative, it will look like this. And we call this a linear function because the highest power of the variable here is just 1. If we go for power 2, like here, this is the highest power. Over here there is a power 1 when we don't write it because it's a default, so we don't go with it. We go by the highest power, which is power 2. Over here the coefficient is positive 1, over here is negative 1. So as you see, that looks positive and that looks negative. That's what we call quadratic function. Let's move on and see some more names. As you see over here, the highest power is power 3 cube function, and over here is power 3 also. That's a positive 1 and that's a negative. So if we have power 3, we call it cubic function, and over here this is positive leading coefficient, and here is negative leading coefficient. If we have 2 power 4, and we call this quartic function, and the quartic function could be negative or positive also. Here is positive 1 and here is negative 1, the leading coefficient, and that looks positive and that one looks negative. And the last one we have is the quintic function, and the quintic function is also, if it has a positive leading coefficient or negative, it looks like this and like that. Let's summarize it after all very quickly. If it's just a number, we call it constant. If it's just power 1, we call it linear. If it's power 2, we call it quadratic function. And if it's power 3, we call it cubic. And if it's power 4, we call it quartic. And if it's power 5, we call it quintic function. I would like to thank you all for watching, and I hope that was helpful to you. And if you have any question, please leave it in the comment section below. See you again.